to Somerset Showcase. Today we are continuing with our series of talks with new members of town government who won in the election for the first time this year. Today we have new planning board member Nicole McDonald. Welcome to our show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So this was your first election, and usually people in town elections don't win in their first election, but you not only won, you won by a wide margin. And you running for an office for the first time, what was your approach to campaigning?
I didn't set out to run for election, and my approach for the election, as it pretty much is in everything, is just asking the questions, putting the information out there. I was sort of overwhelmed by the support, but I'm really just in it to be just like everyone else in the community. I don't treat elected officials as any different than the residents, so we're all just here to gather information and try and move the town forward.
How did it feel when you got those results and you won?
I was very overwhelmed by the results. I'm really grateful for the opportunity, and I take it very seriously. So I'm really hoping that I can contribute and bring something to the planning board.
And you attended a lot of meetings leading up to this, so you knew something about the board. Since you got elected, has there been a lot to learn as far as being a member of the board goes, as opposed to being on the other side?
So I say there's always a lot to learn, whether you're on the planning board or not. I think everyone is always in a state of learning something new. I did learn quite a bit by attending the meetings, and so being now a member of the planning board, it gives me a greater opportunity to see things from the other side. So there's a lot to learn, and I'm really looking forward to that opportunity. We had our first meeting already, and the other planning board members were wonderful and very welcoming, and I think that mix between having a new member and members that have more experience, I think it's a great combination, and so I think we can do some really, really good things.
What do you think are the most important issues with the planning board right now?
There's quite a few of them. So as you saw, I don't know if you watched the last meeting, but certainly any changes to the zoning bylaws come first before the planning board. So we had one of those on the last meeting agenda. I don't know the status really of the zoning recodification, but certainly planning would be involved in that. I had asked questions about the municipal harbor plan, which the town was working on having a consultant look at. So all of those, there are a lot of opportunities that they go to the planning board perhaps for a recommendation to zoning or a decision on some of the issues. So we had quite a few things on the agenda. There's amendments to the stormwater management regulations and discharge regulations. So very important changes, and the planning board has a big role in all of that.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about your background as an attorney and how that's helped you to be a member of the planning board?
Yeah, so I went to Fitchburg State University for my undergraduate. I had a double major in economics and business administration. You can't do a lot with an economics degree unless you go on to further education. And I think I always knew that I wanted to go to law school, so I applied to law school really not knowing if I was going to pursue that. But I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been a personal injury and workers' compensation attorney, a trial attorney for the last 21 years. I've done both sides of it. I've worked for the insurance companies, and I've represented people that have been injured. So it's been a real learning experience. What that has taught me as an attorney, it's a couple of things. I really try to listen to people. I try to understand the full set of facts. And I think as a trial attorney, it's very important that you have to keep an open mind. So you can't just go in thinking just your argument is going to prevail. You have to be open and considerate of what the other side is arguing, maybe some facts that don't agree with your facts. So I think that openness and that willingness to keep looking at cases and keep an open mind. So I think transitioning to, say, the planning board, that gives me a good opportunity that, regardless of what I may think starting off, to keep that open mind and to really look at things and go through the process, so.
Those sound like all skills that would help with that board.
Try it.
Okay. Well, one of the important functions of the planning board is working on the future of the town, and working with the master plan and making decisions related to that master plan to develop a future for the town that's kind of described in the master plan. What's your vision for Somerset? How would you like to see the town progress in the years ahead?
Yeah, so that's the most important question I think that we're all struggling with. I don't necessarily know that one individual person, so I don't necessarily have all the answers for Somerset. I ran on the platform, and I believe the platform that whatever the future of Somerset holds needs to be a collective effort. And what I've learned the most going through this whole process is that everyone in Somerset has pieces of information. So I've talked to people that were involved in the original master plan and that process, and I've read the most recent master plan. I think we all have to get involved in that process. So we have to look at all the opportunities, big and small, because I think even the smaller opportunities are going to make a difference. I mean, overall, in an ideal world, I'd like to see Somerset developed into a beautiful coastal community. I think we should be leveraging and maximizing the fact that we are a coastal community. And I'm certainly aware of the fact that we have services that need to be funded, and we need the tax revenue. So I ran on the platform that we need to find that balance. We need to get businesses in, we need to generate the tax revenue, but we also have to protect the residents and protect our town. So I'm fighting for both of those things at the same time, and I think we can get that balance. So that's really what I'm hoping to see is responsible businesses, responsible industry, happy, protected residents, tax revenue to fund the services that we need.
Maybe that new economic development committee that they're looking to form now can help with that.
Absolutely. So I 100% agree with the selectmen sort of reviving that committee. I looked at that and the fact that they hadn't met for some time. The planning board, I've just been appointed as the delegate to SERPID. So I've reached out to SERPID, so that's the regional planning opportunity that we have. So I think we need to be taking advantage of all the opportunities in terms of, are there grants out there? What assistance can we get on a regional or a state level? So Somerset is right there with all the other communities, and I think there is an interest in Somerset in trying to help us develop and sort of recover from the loss of the power plants. So we just have to start every day looking for opportunities.
Yeah, they've always, since I've been here, over 20 years, they've always talked about taking advantage of the waterfront, but there really hasn't been much development there.
Well, I intend to ask that question at SERPID, so I am looking forward to that, and we just have to start maximizing those opportunities. So my goal is to really just be part of that process. So have a seat at the table, ask the questions, make sure that if there's an opportunity that we're right there, to maximize what we can.
Have you talked to the town planner, Nancy Durfee, about what she's working on? I know she works on a lot of grants.
Before the election, I had reached out to her to try and get some information about the municipal harbor plan, about the zoning recodification. So I have not had a chance to meet with her one-on-one or individually, but she was a participant in the last planning board meeting on the issue of the stormwater management regulations. So, and I had proposed that I think we should be hearing more from the town planner, so that we understand what opportunities are out there, what are we working on, because when I speak to people, they'll mention something and I'll think, geez, I didn't know about that. So we need to start putting all the pieces together. So that's my opinion, and I would encourage her to be more vocal at those meetings and to put the information out there for the residents.
Yeah, sometimes the issues they're talking about in those meetings can be very technical, and they're not always easy to understand for people, I think, especially when they're going over plans.
I agree, although I do think we have a lot of people in the town that have a lot of technical knowledge, so, you know, we should be maximizing on that. You never know what people have for background information. So to the extent somebody has some environmental background or some stormwater background, we should be really drawing on that. Put it out there and see what information comes back to us. We don't know what's out there unless we start asking, so.
And of course, you've also been one of the leaders of Save Our Bay, Brayton Point. I mean, that group of people has really had a big impact on the town, both down at Brayton Point and in other areas of the town. And they're very passionate about protecting their neighborhood. Can you tell me a little bit about how they came together? I mean, it's when I see the amount of research and work you guys do, I think it's pretty incredible. So how did that group come together? And
so, you know, I live down on Brayton Point, and it started off as sort of a group of people being concerned and not really knowing what was happening at the Brayton Point property. And then, you know, the issues started to sort of snowball to a certain extent. But it was really just a group of residents, you know, talking to each other, sort of getting together. And when I say the collective information that was gathered, you know, when I look back over the last 2 years, you know, I bring a certain amount of information. Somebody else will know about truck traffic. Somebody else will know about environmental. Somebody will know about Coast Guard. So collectively, the information that we've been able to develop has just been amazing. But it all goes back to the fundamental concept that just one person is never going to know everything and can't do everything. This has been truly a collaborative joint effort, and it comes down to just fundamental rights. So the ability to be in your own home, I know children wrote letters to the school committee. You know, a child not being able to sleep in their home at night is something that is just never going to be accepted. Not having clean air, clean water, those are our basic fundamental rights. So those have to be protected and guarded, because without our basic rights, you know, where are any of us? So, and I would think that that's something that across the town, I can't imagine that anyone would be fighting against that. So, and we're equally concerned, you know, it's Brayton Point right now, but you know, we're all sort of watching what's going on at Montauk. It wouldn't matter what part of the town it was. To infringe on somebody's basic rights is just never going to be accepted, at least in my opinion. So that's how we get started.
I noticed a comment from Nancy Thomas, who is also one of the leaders of that group as well, recently, that you don't necessarily think of it until I saw her make it, was about the pets. Down there, she had something about her dog, and you don't think that it affects them too?
So yeah, it's had a real tremendous effect on the neighborhood. You know, I don't want to make this all about that, and but I can't stress it enough. I mean, if the experiences I've had personally and other residents, you know, I'd invite people, you know, come down and experience it. It's something where you shouldn't have to be listening to loud noises at, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's a residential neighborhood, so we have the same rights as every other resident, and it affects the pets. It affects, you know, if there's something being deposited onto the neighborhood. The SAGE report showed that there were heavy metals in the swipe sample. You know, what is that doing to all of us? To the pets, to our, you know, children running around in backyards, to the tomatoes you're trying to grow in your backyard. I don't know all the answers to that, but I'm very concerned with that.
That was another comment I saw on social media today about people getting blood tests related to heavy metals.
So, you know, at the end of the day, none of us want to, you know, be looking back 3 years from now or 5 years from now and, you know, have people have suffered medical conditions, and look back and say, geez, we could have done something different. And again, it comes back to that responsible industry. You know, we want everyone to be successful. We want Brayton Point to be successful, but not at the expense of the residents. So if you can't operate without affecting the residents in terms of dust and noise, then our bylaws are very clear on that. And we all have to follow the bylaws. So it's just a matter of fairness. Nothing personal against the company, but you know, we're all just trying to live and exist and enjoy our homes. So.
Now, what types of businesses would you like to see there? Are there other types of businesses that?
So, yeah, that's a good question. So I said in the candidates night, I mean, I as a private resident and even as a member of the planning board, I can't tell Brayton Point they need to have these certain businesses, but my hope would be it would be some type of business that would generate the tax revenue back to the town. Right now, that property is basically being assessed at, you know, vacant land, so we're not getting real estate tax revenue off any structures. We're not getting any money off their shipping operation. Now, some cities and towns that do have those municipal harbor plans, so think of like the Port of Boston. They've got a negotiated fee so that those ships coming in they're paying port fees, they're paying harbor fees, so they're paying money to do business. We don't have any of that, so we're getting tax revenue off that property, off vacant land. So I would like to see something that would either have structures or generate some type of, you know, tax revenue for the town without any adverse effects on the residents. And I can't say specifically what that is because I can't tell them what to do with that property. But you know, the offshore wind would have been great, but so far from what I've seen, it's not there yet, and it's not there next year or even the year after. So, you know, we've got to look at what we have right now.
Yeah.
So
They definitely need to find more ways to bring in more revenue in town, because they used to bring in a lot more from that property.
right, the power plant, you know, clearly paid a lot of tax revenue, but Brayton Point is just not. The tax bill's down to what, 680,000 for 300 acres of industrial waterfront property. So if you divide that out, you know, acreage wise, it's, you know, compare that to what a resident's paying for a 1 acre lot in taxes. So I don't necessarily know that I have all the answers on that, but it's got to be something better than what it is.
So outside of all of this stuff, do you have any hobbies, or what do you like to do?
I do. I have, so I work a lot and I've been doing this, but I do love to garden. You know, normally I have a big garden. I'm not sure I'm going to do that this year. But I have 2 little puppies. I'm busy with a lot of different activities, but pretty much work and taking care of my puppies in the house. And like I said, I like to garden in the summer. And that's it. I'm otherwise a pretty boring person.
What kind of puppies do you have?
I have 2 little Jack Russell Terriers.
Okay.
So very high energy dogs.
Doesn't your husband like to do a lot of photography down there as
He
well?
does, yeah. He likes to.
I've seen his pictures. They're good.
Yeah, and we have a lot of wildlife down there. We had a bald eagle not too long ago. We have the osprey that are back for the summer. Coyotes, deer, bunnies. You know, we have a lot of wildlife down there. So and we want to keep it that way. There was a harbor seal out in front of our house a couple weeks ago. So you know, the wildlife has really come back, and we want to make sure that that's protected. So we don't want to start seeing those. You know, we don't want to start seeing the wildlife go away again. So, but he loves photography. So.
All right, well, thanks for answering my questions.
Thank you very much for having me, and this is a great format, and I love the weekly wrap-ups that you're doing.
Thank you. We just taped another one of those for this week.
It's really helpful to have it all in one location, so thank you, George.
Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in to Somerset Showcase this week. Our guest has been Nicole McDonald, a new member of the Planning Board. We will see you next time on Somerset Showcase.